up, everybody, and welcome back to A Beer a Day with TK. It's a beautiful, cool winter afternoon, I guess. It's almost evening. I think it's about 4 o'clock here in Findlay, Ohio, and I'm hanging out in the beer shed, getting ready to check out a new beer. Now, you may have noticed most of my videos recently have been done in the house. A couple of reasons for that. One, the shed is wired for electricity, but it doesn't have electricity running directly to it. So essentially I have to run like a giant 100-foot extension cord to the house, which isn't really a big deal. But when you come home later in the evening and it's dark, it becomes a pain in the butt, so I've been filming in there. Now, luckily I'm home today grading papers and doing my thing, so I had a few minutes where I could run out here and do a quick review, so I'm back in the shed. The other thing I wanted to do was I picked up a new tin tacker, so I got this sweet Lowenbrow Oktoberfest one off the internet. So I wanted to bring it out here and figure out, I'll place it somewhere. I'm always trying to pick up new ones. I want to have this whole thing done at some point, but it is a work in progress. Anyway, the beer that I'm going to do today is one called Everburn Ale, and you may notice this can has some very nice handwriting on it, so you can actually tell what it says, right? A lot of breweries you go to, you read it, and it's like, I have no idea what it says. But this actually says Everburn Ale, 7% ABV, and this is from Aistear Brewing in Bowling Green, Ohio. So this past weekend, we had to do some shopping. My wife wanted to go up to, I think TJ Maxx was the store up in BG. So I thought to myself, sounds like a perfect time for me to stop by. I saw on their Facebook page they're making this cranberry sugar cookie Christmas ale, and I thought to myself, I gotta check this out. So I ran through and picked up a couple of cans, and I'll be going with my Aistear Brewing glass today as well to keep it branded. And I'm interested to check this one out. Like I said, this is a collaboration ale with the Another Path podcast, and I believe they do, like Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy-inspired gaming, stuff like that. So check them out, Another Path podcast, and check out Aistear. Now, there is not a whole lot to review this on as far as the mainstream sites go. Beer Advocate, not there. Untapped, I think it had 6 check-ins, and one was me trying it at the brewery, so not a whole heck of a lot. Now, I forgot to do this. We're supposed to do the rim with honey and cinnamon sugar. So maybe I'll pause and go get it and we'll add to it. All right, back in action. I've retrieved the glass. I have a Bowling Green Beerworks glass. I don't have 2 Aistear glasses, unfortunately, but they're also in Bowling Green. So one cool thing about the beer community is I know, obviously, people are in business competing with each other, but everybody's cool with each other. So I hope the Aistear guys don't mind. I'm going with the Bowling Green glass as well. For color on this is quite dark. It's almost like a dark brown cola color. I might say like a 36, something like that. Quite dark. There was a thin tan head on there initially when I poured it, but not much. You kind of saw that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a big sip of this first, and then I'll try it with the accoutrement, with the other stuff on the rim. Now, I know during the Christmas and holiday seasons, a lot of people do this with the beers, put cinnamon sugar or different things on it, and for the most part I like it. I'm a fan of cinnamon and sugar, so that tends to work. But I want to try this solo first and see what I think. Again, cranberry sugar cookie Xmas ale. It's quite nice. Now, I will say the one thing that throws me off is you can pick up the cranberry right away, and I think when you look at a beer of this color, you don't expect cranberry. Last year I did a cranberry goes. I think I did a cranberry, another sour as well. Usually they tend to be red in color. So there's nothing about this when you see it that screams cranberry. But when you take a sip, you get that nice little cranberry tartness to it. Not overpowering. Cranberry can be a bit tart, and I know it turns some people off. But it does add a little bit of tartness. Now, to counter that, you do pick up, I guess, what will be the sugar cookie. So you get a little bit of sweetness. There's almonds in it as well, and I think you definitely pick up that distinct almond taste. So these flavors work well together. It just straight tastes like a cookie. 7%, you could find yourself in trouble if you drank too many of these, because this goes down smooth. There's no burn to it. There's nothing that would make you think this is a high ABV beer. And I know with a lot of the winter beers, they're high ABV, 7-ish and up, but you can usually tell. Usually the minute you take that sip, you feel the burn, and you can tell it's 7% or higher ABV. With this, it's not really there. I'm not sure if the cranberry kind of masks it or the sweetness of the cookie aspect, but it masks it pretty well. Medium, it's probably medium full-bodied. Most of their beers tend to be a little thicker, have a bit of body to them, which I quite like. A lot of smaller breweries, my one constant complaint would be they tend to taste thin. So I make beer myself from time to time, and I think it's okay. I mean, making beer is not the hardest thing in the world. But the one thing I've noticed with most home brewers is their beer tends to be a bit thin-bodied. Even if you try, it always kind of tastes that kind of slightly watery body to it. And a lot of smaller breweries, I think, have that same feel to their beers. These guys have never had that. They've always had nice medium or full-bodied beers, and I kind of enjoy that. So this tastes good as is. Let's try it with all this other fancy stuff. Hopefully I don't spill this everywhere my first trip out here in a couple of days or weeks. Yeah, not too bad. Now, I went with the nice Nature Nate's organic honey. I am not fancy about too many things. Beer, obviously, one. Ketchup, I only mess with Heinz. I don't want no cheap ketchup. Toilet paper, don't be bringing no jailhouse sandpaper around. And honey, I only buy Nature Nate's, the finest. I quite love it. So, poured it into the second glass. We got a little bit of the tan khaki head there. Now you see it that it's been poured. Let's try it with these flavors. Okay. You still pick up the cranberry, but I do think the sweetness cuts it down a tiny bit. Now, I put a fair amount of honey around the rim here because I don't have the little device to do it nicely. So I basically poured cinnamon and sugar into a small bowl, mixed it together, put honey around the rim of this, and then just put it on a paper plate and tried my best to get it coated evenly. It looks terrible with the honey drizzling everywhere, I guess. But it's still pretty decent, as with these things on it. Now, it obviously definitely adds to the sweetness. For a sugar cookie beer, I didn't think that this was overly sweet because I did think the cranberry bitterness or tartness cut nicely against what you already had, and you could pick up the almonds, like the nut taste a little better. Now, maybe it's just because of the way I did this, but I probably overpowered it with the cinnamon and the sugar. And in my mind, this kind of detracts from that beer because I think this is a hell of a good beer by its own. On its, just as it is, without the other stuff, was delicious. Now, this doesn't take away from it. It probably just makes it slightly more, slightly sweeter. Now, again, maybe the cinnamon balance, I didn't do it exactly the way it should have been because cinnamon's a little spicy or a little bit of hotness to it. Maybe that offset the sugar. Maybe I went too heavy with the sugar. I don't know. But for me, I think this is still good like this. But as is, fire. I would drink this all day long. I'd probably be in trouble if I drank these all day long because they're 7%. But this is another really cool concoction. Like I said, the one thing I always like about Aistear is they take chances. Now, sometimes they hit it out of the park. Sometimes it don't work, and they'll be the first to admit it, right? You have to gamble and try things and see what's out there. A lot of times when you eat Christmas beers, it's like, here we go. It's going to be the same bullshit again. Everybody's doing the same exact thing. And this is something different. This isn't the same old. That's what I appreciate about them. So for me, Everburn Ale from Aistear Brewing, big thumbs up. Definitely want to get another one of these. I got to go pick my son up Thursday, so hopefully I'll slide through and grab a couple more of these to bring home and try with Anderson when he gets back from tour. So if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe. And as always, you got any comments or questions, jump in down below. Have you had any Christmas or holiday beers? What's your favorite one so far this year? Let me know in the comments. Hey, cheers.